Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it is truly an honor to be before you this evening. Please like and share and let everyone know that we are on the air. We are streaming simultaneously on our YouTube channel and our new Facebook page. True Blue Designs presents the Inside Perspective. We have a brand new page, and I'm so excited. Also, I was going to remind you that in September, at the end of September, you're able to, we've loaded the 2022 interviews on your favorite podcast station. So you can actually catch True Blue Designs Presents the Inside Perspective on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so many more. So while you're driving in the car, going down the road, or if you're at home and just want to hear some motivating and inspirational stories, please tune in to True Blue Designs Presents the Inside Perspective. Now, some of you have been watching my journey. In, I think it was March or May, I hired a personal trainer and did not realize really what I was in store for and what I was going to get, because she has been such an inspiration to me. This young lady is an author. She's a life coach, and she is just motivating. I'm not going to tell you too much about it. I'm going to let her tell you. But she is a proud owner. She is the proud owner of Uncovering the New You, a virtual training workout experience that encourages positive habits, increased productivity, and offers sustainable fitness and nutritional programming that you can stick with. Now, I want you to help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Miss SheNesia Ewing, and we call her Coach Nesi.
What's up, baby?
Hey, Coach.
Hey, what's up, Mama? How you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
Listen, today is always an amazing day. You know how I am. And look, no, there's no bad days for me when it comes down to, to just waking up every day doing what I do best.
I thank you so much for saying yes and being on tonight's show.
Man, listen, how can I tell you no?
That's right. You spoil me.
I ain't got no problem with that.
Well, first of all, I just want to tell you, thank you for all that you have done for me. And I know that tonight's viewers, or whenever they view this broadcast, are going to leave inspired, motivated, and educated for your testimony and the things that you're going to share tonight. I am so excited that I know you're a busy woman, and you were able to carve out some time to be on the show. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Listen, I'm always honored to be, to give. You already know me. That's my spirit, is giving.
Mhm.
So I'm very honored that you thought of me enough to say, you know what, Nesi, I want you here on my platform, right? So I'm always honored. Thank you, my love.
So we're going to start off tonight by allowing you to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is SheNesia Ewing. Most of my clients, they either call me Warden, Coach Nesi, Coach. I am a fitness transformation coach, along with a life coach. I'm the CEO of Uncovering the New You and the founder of Save Your Summer Body Boot Camp. Uncovering the New You is a fitness transformation company that utilizes physical fitness to help women and men to lose 20 pounds or more, right? To improve the quality of their life without overexerting their bodies and without extreme dieting. We believe in lifestyle changes, behavioral changes. On top of that, I'm a published author, international speaker. I am a U.S. Army drill sergeant. Like, we could go on, but we won't. I wear a lot of hats.
Now, you currently live in Atlanta, but what state are you from?
Wow. So I'm byway mini, and so there's really like none. I was born in Fort Knox, Kentucky, raised in the northern area, Trenton, New Jersey area. Then I traveled down to Wilson, North Carolina, by way some other cities. I've been in Georgia and all other places. I am a military brat.
Right, right. So currently in the military, what is your position?
I am an interim first sergeant. I am getting ready to take over the first sergeant position, but until the whole process is completed, I am a U.S. Army drill sergeant.
I wanted everybody to know that so they can have a sense of idea of what our workouts are like.
I know. Listen, I don't treat them all like my soldiers, but I have to make sure they work hard.
Real good. So talk about a little bit about your journey to the U.S. military. How did that come about?
So I just decided to join the military simply because I got tired of asking my parents for money. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the real reason. I was getting ready to graduate high school and I did not know what I wanted to do. I was up in the air between law school. I thought about going into the medical field and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so my mother had always said, well, you've got to have something. You've got to be doing something. And I didn't want to stay in the small community of Wilson because there was not much there. Nothing was really offered, right? Outside of just the basic stuff. I didn't want to continue to work in fast food. And so one day I walked past this station we were doing. There was a something like a almost like a career fair, and I saw the U.S. Army National Guard there. And I would never forget him, Mr. Sergeant First Class Audette. He said, "Hey, come on over here." And I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "You want to join the military?" He said, "You can get paid for going to college, and all you need to know is that you need to be physically fit." Okay. Went home to my mom. My dad said, "Mom, I'm joining the army." They're like, "What?" And so, literally from that day, I started off in the Army National Guard, and then I transitioned in my 16th year to the U.S. Army Reserves. And so, yeah, with God knows, so 21 years thus far, 4 deployments.
Wow, I didn't know you've been in that long.
21 years, 21 years, will be 22 next year in June. And I've got 4 solid tours in Iraq. So, mhm.
Wow. Now
Yeah.
you stated that you are an Army drill sergeant, and normally that is a male dominated position. So
Yes,
talk,
it is.
yeah, and so talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges or obstacles that you may have faced while
Well,
serving in that position.
Well, you know what? Being a U.S. Army drill sergeant was something that was on my bucket list, right? I think that we all, when we get into the military, there's a lot of things that we want to do, and as
Mhm.
reservists, we're not. We're not always afforded the opportunity to be on active duty. We have to apply. We have to be selected, or we're kind of drafted. So just like they said, hey, we need new units. This new unit came on and said, hey, y'all have to go be deployed. I volunteered to be a drill sergeant when I wanted to come over to the reserves because I felt like the leadership that I have and the mentorship that I have could really, really, really push forward the new generation and the new softer army that we have. I am a believer in leadership and growth, and the military forced me to have that. I did not have that growing up in my career in the beginning of my career. I came in where drill sergeants and leaders could be in your face all day long.
Mhm.
Whereas this softer army is not something that can happen. We don't do those things anymore. We're a little bit more gentler army, trying to kind of do more mentorship than just the screaming and all of those things. So, for me, I can appreciate that because now it's time for us to teach. It's now time to really instill the values instead of trying to instill fear. So, because I had the fear of God, put into me by my drill sergeants, and I remember them like it was yesterday. And so, for me being here, I felt like I had a lot to offer when it came down to just again my leadership, my knowledge, my drive, and then the experiences that I've had along outside of my civilian career, and then also in the military as well, to be able to educate not just our females, but our men too, because a lot of my soldiers that truly love me are my males. My females are like, I don't want to deal with you. They got some choice words for me on the female side, and that's
Wow.
okay. But my gentlemen, they have a high regard for me. I have to say that. So, but nonetheless, though, I'm always honored.
So have you seen recently, has it been where the Army is more open to having females in the male dominant roles?
Yeah, I mean, we have definitely grown as
Yeah.
an army in general. Women are more capable. Like to say, hey, listen, if she says she can do it and she gets out here and she does it, guess what? That's what it is, right?
Right.
And I love that. I absolutely love the fact that they are really opening up for women, and challenging women to do things out of their comfort zone. We've become a more physical army, which I can appreciate because I love the challenge that it forces us to stay in shape, stay healthy, and just there's a lot of revisions happening
Hmm.
when it comes down to things that we've got going on, but I can appreciate the opportunity. If that's something we want to do, we're not forced to do it. There is a space for us, and so I can appreciate it.
Yeah. So being in the U.S. Army, I've got one more question, then we'll get off that
Sure, go
topic.
ahead.
But
I love it. It's no problem.
has there been? I know there has been many things that through your process and through your journey in the military that you've learned about yourself. Can you share like one main thing that you've learned and you've grown by being in the military?
Ah, ooh, okay. Look, there's not much that can get me to. Um, so, to be honest, I'd have to say I identified the value of my strength.
Mm,
A lot of times we walk around here being strong and we realize we're only being strong because we have to, right?
right.
There's a reason why, when someone passes, we're being strong for other people and
Mhm.
not ourselves. We're being strong to support a mission or a task. I realize that being strong and being able to uphold the values of that the army has instilled in me, the positive values, of course,
Right.
right? But to be able to be a free thinker in that strength and developing solid strength that I can actually transfer into my civilian career, things that I can actually instill in my son, those true values and that strength that I can develop as a woman, because it
Mhm.
cultivated me as a woman. It got me to come out of my shell and stop being so afraid to speak. It
Mhm.
forced me to stand up for myself. It forced me to really be accountable for myself, right? And so that genuine strength, I'd have to say, over the last 21 years has made me the leader that I am today.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah,
Well,
and it's
it's God is great. It's God is, I will never, regardless of the politics, right? Without going too deep into that, with outside of the politics, what the U.S. Army has done for me, it is infinite. I cannot tell you how it has changed my life, has saved my life. And I'm grateful for everything it has had to offer, the people that I've ran into, the good and bad experiences, because once again, it has forced me to become the woman that I am today. And the
right.
woman that I am today is able to withstand and be resilient against anything that comes my way without putting my head down and tucking it in between my legs and getting under the covers and just saying, I quit. Right. So, it is just definitely has built a stronger person than I used to be prior to.
And I can see that because all of what you just said, you transfer that to your clients.
You already know it. You already know it.
You transfer that
You
to us.
already know it. That's what we do.
So let's talk about the company. Let's discuss the journey to uncovering the new you. Tell us
Okay.
how that came about.
So in my junior year of college, I got pregnant with my son. And unfortunately, I had at that time I had a roommate left me. I literally had just about maybe 6 months worth of funds in my bank account that would keep me afloat. The job that I had wouldn't let me stand until they let me go. So that was one
Mhm.
income that was gone. When I pretty much kind of had all my money, just kind of drained out of my bank account, I didn't have anywhere to go. And so and this is the beginning portion, and then I'm going to kind of skip into the middle. But but I ended up being pregnant and homeless, sleeping in my car. I didn't have anything. And eventually, once I was able to get on my feet, I had my son. My son ended up going to stay with my parents during my senior year because my family is super supportive when it comes down to whatever it is that I'm doing, because they know that I'm doing it with purpose, not intent, meaning that I'm not trying to run away from a problem, but
Mhm.
trying to solve it. My parents were very, very solid on that. So they said, you complete college, we'll make sure you're good with, with your baby boy, their grandson, their first grandson. And so um, once I slept in my car for 6 months, I graduated from college, Virginia Union University, the best HBCU out there, right? Uh, once I graduated from there, I volunteered to go overseas to Iraq because I needed the money. After, again, if you've ever been in a situation of challenge, you know that your finances drain, you know that your credit is bad. There's really not a lot of opportunity for you. So I had an opportunity to say, hey, I want to go to Iraq for 18 months. I need the money. I'm here. I'm available. I got the job. It is what it is. And while I was over there, um, there was a spin class that was being taught, and the instructor at the time was getting ready to go. And they put it out there on like one of the little newsletters that they were, that they had out there. They said, hey, anybody want to teach a spin class? And I'm like, yeah, I never really liked spin. And I was like, me, I'll do it. Give me something to pass my time. And so I did it. It was an on the job type of training. He taught me.
Mhm.
He was like, find your own routine. Look it up on YouTube, again, because there was no certification there, and it took off. And I noticed that every Thursday and Saturday my classes were full. Every Thursday and Saturday, people were lined up outside before I even got off of work to
Wow.
teach my classes. And and during that time, I had 7 soldiers that we had just gotten word from, the rear detachment, that we now had to take PT tests while we were in theater. When
Mhm.
they came in, I had 7 soldiers that had not passed their PT test, and they saw me. They was like, Sergeant Hopkins at the time, can you train me? Can you do this? Can you show me what you're doing? I'm like, well, I'm an athlete. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And so took them to the gym with me. I ran with them. I trained them. I showed them what to eat with very limited what we had while we were overseas. Staying away from all the fried foods, the KFCs. I taught them all of this stuff. And they're like, you really should become a personal trainer. And, for me, I actually hated personal training. I did. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll see. So we got a free opportunity to get our certification online. And I did. And I came back to, once the deployment was over, I came back to the States and I interned at Gold's Gym Arboretum, which is located in Midlothian, Virginia, and
Mhm.
interned there for about 6 months. And then the mentor that I had at that time said, why don't you start your own business? And I was like, well, okay, I did it on a limb with no business license, no business ideas, no structure, no system. And said the name of my business is called Get Right Fitness Boot Camp. Don't ask me where the name came from. I made it up. It was like, okay, made a shirt on Vista Print. I did everything. So kind of fast forwarding, right? To I know, right? Listen, I laugh at that. I laugh at it all the time. And I look at that little ugly shirt I designed of somebody's design I stole and put on. It won't even mine, right? So 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 to kind of get down to where uncovering the new you came from. For a while, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just starting on social media, just starting on, the MySpaces and
Mhm.
the Black
Black
Planet.
Planet.
You go back and look at some of them raggedy videos, you'll be like, Lord, she done grew. But I did. And so after doing all of these things, went through a depressive stage because nothing was working for me at the time. And I was addicted to alcohol really, really badly.
Mhm.
And one day, when I had moved to Northern Virginia area, um, I looked at myself in the mirror in a moment where my baby was like, "Mommy, I don't want to come there. I don't want to move again because my baby had moved 3 times already. I was depressed. He didn't want to come home. He wanted to stay with my mom because it seemed like nothing was stable. And he was able to voice his opinion, and I respected that. And it seemed like my business wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have a lot of money to do the things I wanted to do. I didn't have a career. I was either overeducated, overqualified, or underexperienced, and nothing was working. So one day when I was taking a shot of Hennessy at that time, I looked at myself very skinny. My face was sunken. And I said, Nesi, you got to uncover the new you, baby, or you're going to die. Right. And that was that day that I took my last shot of Hennessy, the last day I ever drunk Everclear. And from that day, Uncovering the New You became the name of my company. And literally, it was a matter of me uncovering what I needed to do, stop making the excuses, and actually start executing in my purpose. So that's how all of that came, because I had to start from somewhere, got the idea from somewhere, and it sooner or later it became one.
Yeah, and that was the start of your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start. You mentioned it one time before. It has to start with you.
Yes.
Yeah. It has to start with you. Wow. Every time I talk to you, I learn something different.
Well, you're supposed to. Got to keep some things hidden.
So, what type of people or clientele do you work with? What type of client is your ideal client?
You know what? I'm still trying to really find that out, because I have a couple of outliers. My oldest client is 75.
Wow.
Yeah, and my youngest client is in her early 30s. So,
So
between 30 and 70, my outliers between 30 and 75. The majority of women that I work with are 40 to 60. The younger women don't want to work with me. I'm like, why? Like, come on, not even in the 30s.
Well, but your nickname is the Warden.
Listen, somebody in their 40s gave that to me too. So, I work with the women between the 40s and 60s. That is my primary clientele. And again, like I said, I do have my outliers who are my early 30s and my 75-year-old beauty.
Kia is on. Kia Robinson is dying laughing. She's got LOL all on
She's forever laughing at me. She all the time.
So I'll share with the audience a little bit about what you've done for me. Whenever a client comes to Coach Nesi, we're all in a certain space in our life. And one thing I like about you is that sometimes when we come to a personal trainer, it's all about the exterior. But one thing that you have done for me is that you have worked with me from the inside out. And that's rare, because a lot of times if you go to the gym, if you've hired a personal trainer, it's all about what's your goal? And it's always about weight loss. I want to look like this. I want to have my boobs, and it's all about the exterior things. And the one thing that I learned from you is that if you don't fix the interior first, then your exterior is not going to be constant.
Right.
That's one thing that I learned. And the second thing that I learned from you was never focus, especially when working with you. never focus on the exterior, because a lot of times you have said to me, "How do you feel? What's going on today?" The questions that you ask me are more about my internal issues or my internal being versus my external. And because of that, when it's time for us to do the I forgot what you call them, but when it's time for us to do the follow-up pictures, I forgot what you call it, but whenever it's time for us to do that, a lot of times we can't see the changes. And I realized the reason why is because we're so intertwined and so focused on getting our internal correct.
And what do I do? What do I have to pull out? The
What
little
before and
red,
after?
my little red pen. What do I
Yeah.
do? I start highlighting, circling, putting circles around everything.
But and I think, and I'm thankful for that, Coach Nesi, because it's really a lifestyle change. And
Yeah.
I told somebody this. I said, when Oprah did an interview, and she said that her weight fluctuated until she got with a coach that told her that all these years you've been trying to lose weight, and Oprah, you can't maintain it. It's got to be a lifestyle change.
There
So
you go.
let's talk about that,
Okay.
because that is so true. And the way you do it is that you work from the inside out,
Mhm.
right? And not make it so much about the exterior, but it's a lifestyle change. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things that I realized that, as far as like success is concerned, let's look at something that everybody's interested in, success. When it looks at success, they're going to look at the work that you're doing, which is external, but they're also going to look at the energy that you bring the work that you do. Nobody
Mhm.
wants to come to your job and they're bland, right? When we go to a restaurant, we want a happy waitress, right? When we're looking at our business, we want people to be enthused about working with us. We don't want to see a dry face. We don't want to, people to come in, hi, very bland and monotone, right? We're looking for something. So that internal, right, depending on the battle that you face, is going to display itself. We can mock all of the emotions, but eventually those emotions come out in what we do and how we show up, whether we dress up, whether we put ourselves together, whether we decide that we're going to just throw on some clothes and it is what it is and it look like it is. And so, when I realized on the type of energy that I was giving my business, I
Mhm.
realized how I was shortchanging myself because I wasn't giving it any energy. I didn't believe in it. I didn't trust it. I didn't see its vision. Right. And a lot of times when you miss out on those particular pieces, you miss out so much on just the opportunity to change everything that's happening. Because what we don't really seem to understand is that when we're in the hamster wheel of life,
Mhm.
there's something that's similar in that hamster wheel. It's nothing but it's you and the wheel. And once you decide to say, I'm getting off of the wheel, that's the change because you're no longer spinning in the same cycle. So,
Right.
but it starts in the inside of understanding what's on that wheel that you keep chasing after. And most times it's not on the wheel. So what I'm saying is that a lot of times that we consistently say, oh, this keeps happening because you're on the same wheel. You refuse to get off. You refuse to change anything. You refuse to change your habits. You refuse to change the way you see things. You refuse to stop arguing with people who really that don't really pay you any business. You are
Mhm.
constantly, trying to hold on to norms that don't set you, that are not good for you. And so you have to change the ultimate behavior in order for you to really understand that change begins with you and it has to change your habits as well. You can't eat
Right.
fried food every single day and go work out. You gonna stay the same. But as soon as you drop that fried food, baby, and you start exercising and you replace it with something else a little healthier,
Mhm.
you'll notice how joyful you'll become and how more energized you'll become. Like it's just a change. What you need is not on that wheel. That the same wheel that you've been on for the last 30 some years.
So let's talk about this. In the title, the name of your company
Mhm.
is Uncovering the New You, the letter U,
Uh-huh.
and not the word spelled YOU. So
Right.
let's talk about that. Let's talk about why it's you and not YOU.
So YOU is a culmination of things, right? So you have your why. The O is the obstacle, and then you have you, the person. What we tend to do is we are always questioning, why is this happening? Why is this doing this? Why is it doing that? And it becomes in between. It becomes the obstacle between you understanding why things are happening. When you take away the which is the yo that you're on, going up and down for no reason, you get rid of the all you have is you to depend on, you to change, you to overcome, you to succeed. When you only focus on you and start putting yourself first, you get the reward, you get the success. And so we take out all the other things, we take out the opposition, we get rid of the questions that we'll never get to answer, the why, right? And we focus on you. So that's it. We're uncovering the new you, not the yo-yo, not the obstacle, right? And not the why. We don't care about why it happened. Now it's time for us to understand, why did we overcome? How can we overcome? And the purpose of why we're overcoming. So, yeah.
So also in your program is you focus a lot on nutrition.
Yes.
And part of our program is we get meal plans tailored specifically for the individual.
Yes.
So let's talk about why you added the meal plan option along with a personal trainer. I mean, I know the answer, but why is the nutrition part just as important?
Well, for one, nutrition is 85% of the ordeal, right? Because
Say that again. Say that again.
nutrition is 85% of the ordeal, right? Where the 15%, I think it's, yeah, 15%. Yeah, the other 15%, right, is all for is more so for the exercise, for the rest, for the stress reliever, the self-care. Like that 15% is comprised of all of the other things that are individual. Especially when it comes down to exercise too, right? So if you really wanted to break that 15% down, you can say 10% is the exercise and a 5% is that self-care, right? But nutrition is everything. Our bodies operate off of the food and the fuel, because food is fuel. It is not, we're not living to eat, we're eating to live, right? And the thing is that when you're able to change your nutrition, and when you're exercising, you've got to pair them together. Again, it's a lifestyle. No one says that you had to stop doing these things. It's about learning to balance, learning to moderate itself, and learning good habits along the way that allow you to grow and to excel in your journey.
Yeah, and it's important. I've got my phone alarm set on all the
Yes,
time.
the diet clock.
For me to eat. And I think that's important because a lot of times your day will get away from you, and then you look up and you haven't eaten.
Yep, priorities. You
Right.
don't know, food is not a priority for many
Right.
people. No, food isn't a priority for many people because they're like, oh, I'm working so hard. But my thing is that, listen, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or you work for someone. At the end of the day, the first time you go into that hospital and they say you can't work anymore, guess what? Your job is going to be on Indeed, right? Or your business is going to go down, and now you're going to have to say, we're closing our doors after so many years. Because again, when you forget about yourself and you can't be present, then nobody else can benefit off of you. And that includes these corporations and these jobs. And that's the reason why health has to be a priority for you every single day, because again, it provides the things that you need. I love a job, I respect a job, but guess what? There are billions of people that can take your job, but no one can replace your health.
That's true. That goes back that you have to put you first.
There you go.
Yeah.
You have to make yourself a priority when you're trying to get healthy, because everybody has all of these unhealthy ways that they're used to, right? And this is what I tell you. I can't blame your parents for what they didn't know, right? Back then it was a level of survival, making sure you had, making sure you did. And oftentimes these habits are the things that caused us to develop norms, right? Just like the one that we said, my mother used to say it too. You better eat everything on your plate,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But now eating everybody, if you go to some of these restaurants, the food looks like that. That's like 3 servings. So
Yeah.
now our levels of obesity have risen. Now our possibility and risk for high blood pressure has risen. Our risk for high cholesterol has risen. Like everything starts to trickle down because again, we were taught something else. People don't want to do that. People would rather spend, $11 minimum on a fast food meal rather than come home and actually cook because of what the society has caused us to do. We work from home, we got to travel back and forth, the time constraints, how long we have to work, how long we got to get to travel. And, again, sometimes it can be pure laziness or just a lack of organization and
Right.
the desire to not change. And people
Mhm.
say it's hard to change. It's not. It's a balance. If you really want your life, then you will change the things that you want to do. If you want to be out here hurting, walking around here, coughing up a storm, always tired, and you're sucking down sodas and energy drinks all day, go for it. But that's not the way anybody should have to live. You don't have to struggle to just simply struggle.
And so food is 85% of the issue.
Uh huh. Sorry, I went on a
85%.
tangent there. That's a sensitive topic for me.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, 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 hey!
So
Don't
what
be.
advice?
You
So what
can't let
advice?
everybody know about that. You can't let everybody know about
I'm not gonna tell all our secrets. So what advice would you give people wanting to start a business?
To start a business, do it. I mean, if you truly believe in it, do it. This has been the best decision I've ever in my life made for myself. Was is running a business. I
So
mean, just do it. There's somebody out here that needs what you have.
right, right. If you provide the need, then God will provide. He'll send you the people
Oh, of
that
course, of
that need
course.
that need what
Of
you have.
course, yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
whatever you wanna do, even if it's not even starting a business, if you just wanna go for that promotion, if you just wanna go, and travel the world, if you want to, adventure out into education and doing what you do best, like, go for it. Don't let nothing stop you, don't let nobody stop you. Mhm.
So you're also, I mentioned in the opening that you, in the intro, that you were also a life coach. So let's talk a little bit about your journey to becoming a life coach.
So in the beginning of, when I first started my business, I really didn't understand why so many people were complaining and saying, "Oh, this is so hard. I can't change. I can't do this." And I'm like, "Well, I did it." I had to remember that not everybody is military. Military, we are very structured, right? They tell us what to eat. They give us our food. They tell us how much we can have. They give us the standard. They give us the PT test. We know what it looks like. They train us to do that, and that's just that, right? Not
Mhm.
everybody has that structure. Not everybody grew up in the same. Not everybody's emotions can are is resilient enough to deny food or to deny alcohol. Not everybody is as disciplined as military people can be. And so I ran into I saw an ad actually on Facebook, and it was originally a company called Dimension Wellness,
Mhm.
and I went to college with this young lady, and she was out here. She was opening up her own. She has a testimony like mine. She was a mental health therapist for a while, and her company just shut down one day and didn't even pay her. And so she had to take all of her ideas and to figure out what she wanted to do. Now she has 3 different buildings. She has her hub is in Richmond, Virginia. She is the first Black woman to have a co-working space in the city of Richmond, Virginia. Her name, if you might know her as Coach Brittany Garth, but she is now Brittany Freeman, as she just married, I think within a year now.
Mhm.
Um, but she is my coach, my one who gave me an opportunity. She had a life coach, and she was bringing in people. She was giving away scholarships. I told her, I said, "Coach, I don't have any money." And she says, "Well, apply. Well, you'll never know what happens." And at the time, I think it was just her and maybe a couple of people, that was running her, that was trying to elevate this idea that she had.
Mhm.
and I ended up getting a scholarship, and I became a certified life coach under her company, originally called Dimension Wellness, which is now called Pink, PINQ Inc. INC. She is a business coach now. She helps small businesses get off the ground. She's worked
Mhm.
with multi-million dollar companies. And again, she's opened up 3 different stations, and I'm so proud of her. So
Wow.
proud of her. But that's where I started. She gave me that opportunity to one infiltrate that life coaching, the changing of the mindset in order into fitness so that I understood where their minds were. How do I shift them?
Mm.
How do I help them? How do I critique them? Right? How do I develop their mindset in the process of?
Right.
Mhm.
So when looking to hire a life coach, what are some things that a person should consider?
Well, so I think experience is one. Where they are, what are they doing with it? What was their journey into life coaching, right? Why did they ever use a life coach? What did a life coach do for them?
Mhm.
The advice, how are they advising you, right? Are making sure they're not working in a therapeutic sense. Like I have my doctorate in the field of psychology, but I don't do therapy because I'm not licensed,
Right.
right? And so
Uh-huh.
my techniques that I use for my coaches, I mean for my clients, are all strategic things that they can take to their therapist and
Mm.
being able to kind of elevate those ideas for clarity and understanding and implementation. So I stay away from anything that's not legal, right? That's another
Okay.
thing. Make sure your life coach understands that there's a thin line that you have to draw between a therapist and between a life coach. We do
Right.
not operate in the same manner. One helps you implement strategies, one helps you find the clarity in the strategy, right? In developing the system. Um,
Mhm.
I think that the openness, because I've had so many clients to open up to me about drug use. I've had transgender clients. I've had those of the LGBT community. I've had those who've had a lot of sexual trauma.
Mhm.
So the openness and the willingness to hear these things, right? It's
Mhm.
not about solving it, but these are just the problems my clients deal with for me to be able to help them move past that and to find that those pieces to their puzzle, you know. Um, so between the legal, the openness, the discipline, the experience, I think those are like some of the main things when you're looking for a coach. What they offer, who they are, how they talk to people. On
Mhm.
social media, are they rude, nasty? The stuff that they post, like life coaches really are people that can help. But if you are hurting people, also you can't help me.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that the information that you're talking about is confidential. So
Absolutely,
many people like to get on social media and do subliminal messages. Now that right there drives me crazy. And,
absolutely. Oh,
yeah, I'm like,
that's just
if you
integrity.
got
That's
something to
integrity.
say, I'm like, if you got something to say, just pick up the phone and call a person
There
or
you
meet
go.
up for lunch. Why we gotta always do the subliminal messages? But you want to
Mhm.
make sure that that doesn't happen to you when you have a life coach that
Oh,
that
absolutely.
your business is staying between them and the
Absolutely.
confidentiality is there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's an added plus to the services that you provide because now I see how I kind of see how it all pulls together.
Mhm.
The life coaching piece.
The internal.
They get yeah, yeah. It all
There
ties
we go.
together. So now people get to see that we're blessed to have you. We really are because we get a lot, and you're so dedicated to us. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate it. But we gotta stop your mama from calling. I
Mother,
told
you
you
listening, baby. I'm sorry.
I
That
told
that
y'all, I told y'all I was gonna talk about on the show. Every time we have a session, her mother just knows that I am with her. So I'm waiting on the mother to call while we're on the air.
look, I listen, she probably will. And listen, during boot camp, she called too. And I'm like, y'all, hold on. This is my mom. Let me tell her that we in boot camp, y'all.
And hey, mom, I hope that you'll watch the video.
Hey, Ma.
Now, one of the last things we're going to talk about is you are a published author.
Yes.
And your book is titled, the name of your business, Uncovering the New You.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about this. Now, when I got this book, because I'm a supporter. So when I got the book, I said I'm going to read a chapter, and right before bed, I'll read a chapter a night, and then, until I finish the book. Well, I started reading the book, and I could not put it down. Because when you meet people, you know people in the dimension in which you meet them. I say this all the time. You know people in that dimension. And as you start to foster a relationship with them, as your relationship grows, then the other dimensions of the person are revealed. Well, I got the book. And within an hour, they were all revealed. So I'm telling everybody, you got to get the book. It is a very easy read, but it is a motivating story of the journey of her life. So let's talk about the journey to writing the book.
It's an emotional journey.
Yes.
I think you cried. You said, "Oh God, I think I cried twice."
Well, I can see myself in the book, and I think that's what really touched me. Not verbatim,
right?
But I could see, some of the journeys that you went through, and some of the things that happened to you. Mm-hmm. I could be like, whoa. Okay, how did she get out of that? And similar stories. You just never know how people are connected like that. But anyway, so talk about the journey to you becoming an author.
So I got married in 2016. My husband is a chapter in the book, mm-hmm. right? How we met, the insecurities I had, and the things that I was going through. It was one year, where it's in the beginning of our marriage, I'm trying to understand what it's like being a wife, because mm-hmm. I've never been one. Many of my relationships, I was either cheated on or hurt. Mm-hmm. And I never really had I've had true relationships, I've had true loves, but I was the only one that was in love. I was the only one that had that, that purpose and that position. And I noticed, that I was struggling with some stuff. And my husband and I were not doing well. We mm-hmm. were not and this is in the beginning of our marriage. Communication was off. I was always angry. And, I was talking to someone. She's very prophetic. Mm-hmm. Her name is Robin Robbins. And when we talked, she says, Nesi, you got something in the inside of you that you probably need to get out. And I didn't understand what she meant by that. And I said, what do you mean? She says, you need to get what's in the inside of you out. And at this time, she had a program called Birth Her. That's the name of it. The Birth Her Pro is a writing program where she shows you how to write your book. She guides you through the process. She lays it out for you, and she helps you to see the publishing process, because now it was my journey to becoming a self-published author. Okay. And she helped me. Her and her team helped and assist me to put this book together, and get there. But I started to write, and she says, just write. I was like, what do I write about? Write about your life. What did you want this to be? Because there was no name to the book. Okay. There was no name. And as we journeyed on, I kept writing and I kept writing and I kept writing, trying to understand. And I realized that I had more trauma than I realized. I cried. I was up all times of the night. And I wrote my last chapter actually on my way overseas, because I had gotten deployed on a mission. and in Kuwait, and I ended up in Iran afterwards, but started off there, and I wrote my last chapter going across the water and submitted it
Mhm.
to her once I ended up getting to Kuwait. Um, uh, well, actually, I was in Kuwait, and then I went to Iraq for the final mission in Iran. But when she told me I had so much hurt in the inside, this book was a liberation for me.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
was for me to release all of the demons that's been holding me down. And when I say demons, I'm talking about the anger, the frustration,
Mm,
those questions of asking myself, why, right? Why did this happen to me? Why did I have to go through this? Why am I struggling? Why? Knowing that there's really no true answer. I was in my own way of doing things, and I was my own way. And this book was destined and designed for me to uncover the new me. I was leaving everything behind and starting new because I didn't want to lose my marriage. I didn't want to lose myself either again in a relationship because I was harboring on to so much. This book was a way of freedom for me. It was a
mhm.
path for me to understand I can be successful. I can be an amazing mom. I can be an amazing wife. I can be an amazing daughter, but you got to stop giving up on yourself and letting your past haunt you. This book was liberation for me.
Mm,
This book let everything go, and I was so worried about the judgment. I
right.
lost family members over this book,
Wow. Wow.
and I had to be okay with that because I had to tell my truth.
Mm-hmm.
I had to let what was inside of me out because of the things that happened to me.
Right. You needed to heal.
And if my healing meant that I lost people, that I lost friends, that I lost, they were never really for me if they can't hear my hurt.
Right.
So this book released all of that. Now,
Mm-hmm.
granted, did I develop more? Not to this capacity.
Mm.
Because just because you write it doesn't mean that it goes away, right? It
Right.
just meant that it allowed me to heal. It allowed me to walk through my journey. It allowed me to see things from a different perspective, right? It gave me the inside perspective of what it was going on in the inside. And
Right.
it gave me the idea that I can be free and still heal, meaning that I don't have to let that hurt hold me down. I can walk with my hurt and still be successful, right? I can
Right.
heal in my journey of walking. And that's what uncovering the new you is. It's not solving the problems, it's understanding and seeing the clarity that you can still keep going. You don't have to let it stop you. You don't have to let it halt you. You don't have to let it interfere with your joy and your peace. You can heal in the process of your success. And when you get there, all the pain and all that frustration is gone. You
Yeah.
can heal in the midst of, and that's what this book allowed me to do.
I know I talked to some people, and two main ways that you can release it is therapy, talk to somebody, therapy, and writing. I've talked to so many authors, and they have said that writing their first book was very, very therapeutic, and how it just allows them to release it. It's almost like you're holding it in, and then when you write the book, you put all that on the pages, and it's like it's released. It's out of me and on there. Like you said, nothing, changes right away. But the fact that you're not hard, you're not carrying it all within you, and now it's out.
Right.
Now, like you said, I can get healed along the way.
Uh-huh. And
You know,
I saw a therapist. I
uh,
saw a therapist inside my book. I talk about
yeah,
that. I've
yeah,
seen a therapist. And the
yeah.
therapist, I only saw her one time. I saw her
Wow,
one time. That's
wow,
it.
wow. Well, this is what I want to do before we end the show. I'm gonna, I've got pages bent. I'm written in the book. Girl, look, I told you it. You got to get the book now. For the viewers who were engaged in the show and you liked and you comment, we're gonna have a giveaway. So at the end of the show, Coach Nesi is going to look at the comments and she's going to pick a winner. and we're going to send you a free copy of her book, Uncovering the New You. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read something from the book, and then I want you to briefly expound on it. Okay? All right.
You want them to do it or me?
No, you.
Oh,
So I'm going to read something from the book, and I'm going to let you elaborate a little bit. Then I'm going to read
gotcha. Go
something else.
for it.
Okay. So ready?
I'm ready. I'm waiting on you.
Okay. How long will you continue doing the same things in life that keep you in the same place? It is time to move out of your own way.
Mhm. So, I mean, that's a lot, right? If you want to be great and you want to be amazing, the only way for you to do that is to get out of your own way, because a lot of times you tell yourself you can't. You tell yourself that you will never. You tell yourself all the time that, fear is going to get in the way or you're going to fail. Oftentimes you don't give yourself a chance. But when you move out of your own way, you stop doubting yourself and you just step into your faith. You have no idea about how amazing you can become and the things that you do. When I did that, everything else changed for me. Everything.
Uh, let's see. I had another one. This is a good one for business owners. If you know your worth, others would not attempt to lower it by asking for cheaper prices.
Yeah. So so for fitness, for personal training, clients are always saying, well, it's too much, it's too much. But when they realize that what goes behind it, right? The process that goes behind it, right? It's not a cheap process. It's not something that you can't make it. If you don't believe that you are worth the investment, we can go out here and spend 15, $1,600 on Louis bags. We can go out here and spend $3,000 on Balenciaga shoes, $300 on this and that. But we won't take the time to pour into ourselves and to get the help that we need, that is going to save us so that we can work and do what we desire to do, to go and buy those Louis bags or those Balenciaga shoes, right? We can't be sick and cute at the same time, right? And so the deal is that as a business owner, I realized that my cheaper prices meant nothing to no one because it was money going away. When I raised my prices, people put value on their life. They started putting value on what I did, and they also saw me of value. Everything that's cheap
That's
is
so
not
true.
good, and everything that's expensive is not worth it.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. The last one, this was a good one. And we were talking in the book, you're talking about your husband.
Okay.
And the statement is, he saw that my purpose was greater than me.
Mm-hmm. This journey of health and wellness is not about me. Is after a while, once you get yourself to a certain level, you know there's nothing more that you can do for yourself. Like, I'm healthy, I'm great, I know how to maintain, I've got the discipline now, nothing's out of order, I'm focused, like there's nothing out of that, right? He said, when you stop making it about you and you actually give it to others, that's when you will flourish, right? And so the deal was that I had to begin to understand that my purpose, that, for those of you who are believers, you know, that God has a bigger purpose for you. It's
Mhm.
outside of you. What you have inside is meant for others,
Right.
right? And sometimes we try to make our purpose about us. Baby, this podcast ain't about us. This is for the help
Mhm.
the people. That's the
Right.
reason why it's here. We're not just sitting here, just talking about all the things that happen to us. We're talking about how you can implement these things, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so, um, and so your purpose that's in the inside of you is bigger than anything and anyone. And if you give yourself an opportunity to win, you'll see that there are many more people outside of you that need what you have.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. It's not about us at all. Putting on this broadcast is, totally to inspire, educate, and motivate people.
Mhm.
Common, ordinary people come on this show, And the show gives them a platform to discuss who they are, what they do, and give the inside perspective of what they know.
Mhm.
They don't think they know anything, but it's amazing how just talking about their journey of how they got from here to here and hearing them themselves talk about it, they inspire themselves.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
and it makes them step out of their, like you said, their comfort zone.
there you
Some
go.
people have never done this before. You know, when I started, I didn't know anything about technology, but I know God's voice, and
There
I
you
walked
go.
in what He told me to do and called the people He told me to call, because He gave me this idea on a Monday, and on Wednesday we had the first show going.
There
And you
you
know what
go.
we were doing?
There you go. Listen, you gotta
Sometimes
walk sometimes. Look, sometimes you just gotta walk by faith and hope that
that's
it
right.
works. And listen, like I was talking about those videos on MySpace, baby. When we start
Yeah,
looking back at them things, I'm like, ooh, wee.
but
We
you did it. And you know what? The main thing people have to understand too is all about obedience.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. We all start from somewhere and then you
It's
just
all
gotta let
about
people
obedience.
start. Mhm.
You just have to step out there and you just have to try. But these videos, the library that we have on YouTube to store all these videos, it's a library.
There
And
you go.
it's a library of journeys on various topics, that if people say, you know what, I think I want to do XYZ, then you have a reference.
There you go.
So I tell people, you know, go to the library, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be alerted when new content becomes available. But it's out there for you. But the one thing we can't do, you can take the horse to the water,
Can't
but
make
you
them
can't
drink.
make them drink.
There we go.
Because if you try to do that, you'll choke them. And
Right.
you
Look.
may drown in the process.
Woo,
Coach, thank you
boy.
so much for being on tonight's show. I really appreciate it. And I thank everybody that, you know, that commented. And Miss Kia, thank you for being on tonight's show. I
Yes,
appreciate
thank
you.
you.
And like I said, Coach Nesi's book is Uncovering the New You. She's gonna go on later. She's gonna go on the broadcast, and she's gonna look at the comments, and she's gonna pick a winner. So by tomorrow, we'll know who the winner is, and we'll send you a free copy of her book. And I promise you, you will be inspired and you will be motivated from this book, because this young lady has been through a lot. But at the end, I'm gonna make her a shirt that says "But God,"
I
because she
know that's
is
right.
still standing. She has been through a lot, and I thank you for, you know, being obedient to share your journey and putting it in written form. Because I told you I could not put this book down. I read it from one. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And you smile, and you still smile. So I just thank you for the encouragement that you give me. I don't know all of your clients, but I'm sure we all say the same thing. And that's thank you, because the internal changes that I know have happened, the transformation that has happened in my life since I have met you, I I know you were sent by God, and I am just so thankful, because I'm not the same person that I was, and I'm more confident, and again, you have to circle all the changes, because you don't make me, I can't focus on them, because you have been doing so much internal work
Mhm.
that I don't see the external change. That's it.
There you
I
go.
do the internal work and I don't see the external change. I know it's there because my belt is almost wrapping around my waist.
Right.
Look,
No, we getting whole new wardrobes.
and I'm gonna tell everybody the other laugh that we get, and all of my boobs fit in my bra. So I
Ah,
know there is a
I was
transformation.
hoping you wouldn't say that. Like,
Look, I'm free. I don't care. I'm free. I am
there you
so
go.
free, and I
Look,
just
no
thank
more extra boobs. We
you.
got
No
a
more
whole, we
extra
just got a
boobs.
pair now. We ain't got no force.
Yes,
I
I'm so
love it.
excited.
Like that's joy right there. And I'm always honored. I will say this before we close is that I'm always honored to work with the various women that I have. Kia, she is here. She has been one of my longer standing members. That's here, and I've got a few others that's been with me that's seen how I've started from here to having
Yeah,
almost very little people, and how I went to having a lot of people and
right,
then I went down to having very little people. She has
right.
stuck with me. And Kia has lost, oh my God, I think it's over what, 50 pounds already, if not more,
Mm,
with me since she's been with me almost 2 years now.
wow,
Um, and so I'm grateful for her words of encouragement, her consistency with me, her dedication. Because I'm very dedicated, and that's the same way I love what I
yeah,
do. Like I love, 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 love helping people to change their mindsets and to change their bodies and regain that confidence. But
right.
you gotta be willing to do the work because I'm gonna make you work,
Say,
right?
say it
You
again.
know, and and that's the deal, is that when I get that client just like yourself, you come with so much energy, and to see the changes you've made, I'm so honored, to be your coach, Miss Tina. And I
Thank
just
you.
and I just thank you for choosing me. I thank you for choosing me.
Well,
I
look,
thank
let
you
me
for
tell you, the best
being
thing out of your entire plan, though, is one thing that's the best thing out of your entire plan. It's your friendship.
okay. Look,
And Coach
I thought you were about to say the workout.
no, no. It's your friendship, and I really appreciate your
Yeah,
friendship. I really do.
it's authentic. It's
You
authentic.
know, I'm sure people that are watching the broadcast, hey, we're blessed. We're blessed to have this young lady on our team because she's a team. We're a team now.
Yeah.
So she's on our team. She's a motivator. She's inspiring. But she is very transparent and she's very humble. And I'm just going to tell everybody, get the book. You will see yourself somewhere in that book. You may see yourself in a situation that you were currently in, and need to get out or have gotten out. So you're either going to amen through the book, or you're going to say, thank you, Lord, for her testimony. So I'm telling everybody, get the book. Oh, right quick, where can they purchase the book?
You can purchase it from me on my Shopify site. You can go to Amazon.
Okay.
It is out there. So, my site is on my page. If you come
Okay.
over and follow me, um,
Okay.
you can always DM me and say I want a copy of the book and send you the link for that as well. But yeah, like I said,
Okay. I'm gonna
just
I'm gonna
type
ring
in.
your I'm gonna ring your banner one more time so they can get it. Okay. So you hold on for just a second. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. I will see you next week, same time, same place. Good night, everybody.
Good night.